is what we're all excited about. We're hyped. We've been waiting for this. But there's something else that we just found out that we were all been waiting for. That's a big, major deal. So breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, the CFP they met and they have agreed to expand to 12 teams by 2026. Everybody's been talking about this. Alex, I'm coming to you, man. What are your thoughts? What were your initial thoughts when you heard this?
To me, I was kind of shocked that they actually did it because they've been talking about this for years and it keeps getting pushed off. And I think now with all this transition, like schools jump into different conferences and all that, I think it kind of forced their hand.
Yeah.
You're going to have too many stacked teams in the Big Ten and the SEC to only put the conference champion in.
Yep.
So this gives those other guys in the other conferences their chance to get in still. Some of these group of 5 teams like Cincinnati last year, it gives everyone that chance to get in. I think 12 is a little too much personally. I wanted 8 the entire time. But I'm happy it's past 4 because I think that was way too small.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And everybody's had an issue with 4, and you're not really getting a gauge of it because it's obviously the top tier teams, and it's mainly going to be Alabama and Ohio State, the perennial favorites, and then it's a couple other guys, and then you get a situation like a year ago where Cincinnati was a solid team, but let's be honest, it's still Alabama.
It was a step below, yeah.
Exactly. And then even in y'all's game, and any other year, I think it would have been closer. That defense for Georgia was just out of their mind. You know what I mean? So
well, it was crazy to go into a national championship playoff game and just be like, well, we might have a chance.
Right.
It was just those 2 teams were that good. It was just insane.
Yeah. And we saw what ended up happening, but that's another thing. I'm excited to see now what happens going forward. They try to challenge for the back-to-back type deal, but we're not going to get into that. But like you said, like this, I think is very soon for me. I mean, I was a proponent. I was all about we got to get more teams in there because there's other teams that are really good. They're not getting opportunity because either their conference isn't, as prestigious as some of these other ones, or they haven't been seen by enough people. I mean, you got UTSA that went 11-1 last year. And because of their past, nobody even looked at them, but they could play some good ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, one of the things I think this really does, and I want to get your opinion on this, we have been dealing in the last several years because of the NIL, because all the big money you get with these first-round draft picks and their the money they want those big contracts, that they've been opting out a lot of the, pro days, a lot of that stuff, but mainly the bowl games. I think what this is going to do is this is going to not make them, but it's going to be more of an incentive to play. The people that are playing for the national championship, all their guys are playing. But if you're not in it, the minute a lot of these guys find out they're not going to that type of caliber game, or even in New Year's Six bowls, they were, opting out of it. So I think for that fact, I think that's great. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, and I completely agree with you on that. And the big thing for me is it's going to make a lot more of these big-time bowl games feel like big-time games again.
Yes. Absolutely.
Because there was that disconnect. There was whichever ones they were using for the college football playoff, and then it was the other 2 or 3 were left out, and they were just different from the rest. Yeah. Now you can include all those in a couple of these other bigger bowl games and throw them all in. To me, you're going to have the big-time players playing the big-time games, and it's going to mean a lot more. That to me, is only a good thing.
Oh, yeah. And what else it does, and we talked about this off camera, is it provides us with an opportunity that we wouldn't get otherwise, which is rematches. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm going to bring this up. We showed if they would have expanded it to 12 a year ago, there is several rematches that potentially would have happened, starting with you guys and it's not even up here. Darn. Starting with you guys and Ohio State, and they also had, I think it was Ole Miss potentially playing Alabama again. Notre Dame if they would have won, they would have played Cincinnati again. That is, people want to see that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, we look at Georgia a year ago, and Georgia got the opportunity in the national championship to get their rematch, but that's very rare, and it's very seldom that you get that opportunity to go against the team that beat you before.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's when I said big time players in those big time games, if you say have, for example, in that scenario, it was Ohio State, Michigan State in the first round.
Yeah.
If you have that kind of matchup in a bowl game, it raises the stakes even more because the two teams already hate each other. And when there's something like that on the line, it makes it better football to watch.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Look, as a matter of fact, here, I did find it. So, yes, Ole Miss would have played Oklahoma State. Georgia would have played Pittsburgh. Notre Dame would have played Utah. And then Ohio State would have played Michigan State. And then Alabama, Baylor, Cincinnati, and I think it was Michigan. Was the four teams that were gonna, essentially have the bye week. And I mean, first and foremost, number one, that's more football, and that's never a bad thing. Number two, what this does, in my opinion, is we all know for some of these teams that play their conference championship in November and then don't play until potentially late December or January, this is gonna shrink that gap between those times. So you have situations where some of these teams come out, they haven't played in a month and they're flat. You know what I mean? And they're not, this is not what people expected them to see, but now we're going to have them playing potentially a little closer together. Man, I'm hyped. I'm excited to see what this could bring. And from what I've heard, the board is actually encouraging the committee to try to start by 2024.
Yeah.
That's quick, man. That's 2 years.
Well, and that's why, in my opinion, all this transition forced their hand, because when are all those teams supposed to transition? It's 2024 when all this is supposed to blow up.
Right.
So we're going to see a whole new era of college football starting 2024.
Wee. Oh, man. Yeah. That is interesting, and it definitely puts a new spin on it because now you try to apply it to this year, and you're already thinking, wow, some of these teams – let's see, it makes you think, expand your horizons when it comes to what you're picking towards the end of the year. It's easy to pick four, because you could put, maybe a Bama, obviously, and then 2 or 3 other teams to go from there. But now it's like, okay, a lot of other teams got opportunities. Can Oklahoma, who's been solid the last couple of years, but never been able to get over the hump, maybe get in there and get another win in their belt to keep the momentum going,
And Utah.
Yep.
Utah's been so good and just pushed out because they're in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Well, they're definitely one of the best 12 teams in college football, so you're going to have to give them that respect.
Oh, absolutely.
And another thing is this is good for the fans.
Yep.
Because with the 4-team playoff, you've got this really good team, you're all hyped about it, and if you lose week 1, your season's over.
Yeah. Because
you're likely not getting in with 1 loss.
Yeah.
Unless you're in Alabama and Ohio State, one of these elite programs.
Right.
So you're going to see more 1-loss teams have that second chance.
Right.
Which, to me, again, is only good.
Oh, yeah. It's better for the game. It's better for game. And it answers the question, why not us? You said, all those small teams, all those teams that are, like, oh, we've had this 11-win season or teams that, we've had these great seasons. And it's like, what do we have to show for it? You know what I mean? An Insight.com bowl because of the conference and this and that. Now we're going to see them potentially get an opportunity to play a big name school, maybe upset. And then there's really any given Saturday,
Yeah.
My thing before we move on, the only thing I don't want this to eventually turn into March Madness. I don't want this to eventually get into like a 30 or 60 team field where it's just like it's another season almost. I'm like, I can't do that with football. I need my bowls.
If you're going to do that, it might as well just be your entire season.
Right.
Like, that's kind of what you're doing if you expand it that far. Yeah. And like we said, we're already thinking it's too much at 12 teams.
Yeah.
So, like, if you expand any more, then you're going to have some beatdowns in these playoff games.
Exactly. And that's what we're trying to avoid. You
know
what I mean? So, but look, I can dig it. I cannot wait to see what happens and when this comes into play because everybody's been talking about it. Before the BCS, everybody said, well, we need something that's going to be more accurate. We got the BCS. That had flaws. Now this DFP, Obviously, this has flaws. Somebody's always going to be left out. Somebody's always going to be upset.
Yeah.
Hey, but they're trying to make things better. And with the new era of college football, with NILs and the transfer portal being what it is, this is huge. So I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thanks for watching. If you like that clip, be sure to check out the other great content from the Let's Talk Football community. And as always, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when more great content like this becomes available.